Now we're live. Okay, it's Dr. Matt Parker, Holistic Functional Veterinarian. I want to talk today about how to help your dog cool down in summer heat. I've seen a lot of this at the dog beach and places that we've been here in Florida. First of all, I think everybody knows about hot cars and hot asphalt. Although, I do see a lot of people distracted on their phones or talking to neighbors with their dogs standing on the hot asphalt. So think of yourself, whether it's hot asphalt or the hot sand. When you're walking across hot sand, when you get to the point where your feet start burning, you can't take anymore. It's an emergency. You kind of drop everything and run to the cold water. You can't just keep going because it's burning so bad. The same thing that happens to your dog's feet, whether it's on hot asphalt or hot sand, if they start hesitating or whining or dancing or anything, then it's a true emergency. They can't make it the rest of the way. You need to pick them up if possible. So think about how it feels on your own feet. But the main thing I want to talk about is how dogs cool themselves in the heat, because I've seen a few things that people have been doing lately that don't work. I've seen some people dumping water on top of their dog's back. And I want to show you why that doesn't work. So Zip is laying right here with me. This is his back. So he has all this thick hair, okay? The point of this hair, I think we often are confused. The hair's not really there to insulate him. It does insulate him some, but its main job is to protect his skin from the elements in the environment. So we think of a lot of hair as making a dog hot and keeping them warm enough in cold winter weather. And it does some of that, but its main job is to protect his skin from the cold or the hot weather. So the skin has the blood flowing through it. All the blood in his body, down deep in his organs, is his chest and his abdomen, circulates out to his skin. At the surface of the skin, it gets cooled down or warmed up by the air temperature with the skin. So in cold weather, the hair kind of provides a little layer so his skin doesn't get too cold, so that his core temperature doesn't get too cold. In the hot weather, this fur protects his skin from the sun cooking and burning his skin. Okay, so I've seen people at dog parks and places, they'll turn on the spigot and they'll run some water over the top of their dog. Do you see how that water just beads up and runs right off? Because he has natural oils in his skin that help make the water bead up and run off his hair. He has natural oils in his fur that make the water bead up and run away. So that doesn't help him any. He's kind of demonstrating for us what I wanted to go to next. Dogs do, however, in their groin and their inner thigh, they usually don't have any hair. Some dogs, their whole belly up to here will be just naked skin. This dog, Zip, has some fur here, but it's much thinner. So right here you can contact the skin on his inner thigh, and there's big blood vessels running to the leg that run right under here. If you can get cool water here, it'll really help cool off his skin and the blood that's flowing through his main veins to his leg. And that cooler blood then circulates to the whole body and cools him from the inside out. So in Virginia, we would turn on the cold water, and the earth is 50 degrees a few feet deep, so you get some really cold water even in the summertime. Here in Jupiter, Florida, at the Jupiter Dog Beach, we turn on the water spigots to cool the dog down, and the water is 80 or 90 degrees. But when this dog is hot, when any dog is hot, they'll be well over 100 degrees, maybe even 110 degrees. So if they're 110 degrees and the water we're putting on them is 80 or 90 degrees, that water's still 20 or 30 degrees cooler than their blood in their body. So it does have a good cooling effect. Also, we're in the shade right now. Laying here in the grass, this grass in the shade is, I don't know how much cooler it is than the grass in the sun, but it's a big, big difference. So those are a few things you can do. If your dog wants to lay down and spread his legs out, frog-legged, and lay his belly on the ground, it's because he's trying to get this skin in contact with the ground to help cool it off. So that's why they do that. One last thing is when your dog is hot and panting, their tongue will be really, really big and full of blood. That's because panting doesn't really, kind of lost myself, I'm in a bad shadow. The panting doesn't really bring cool air into their lungs The panting brings air in short spurts back and forth across their tongue. So their tongue will fill up and engorge with blood, and that blood gets air moving back and forth across it while they pant. Again, that air is 20 or 30 degrees cooler than the dog is on the inside. If the air's 90 out here, but he's 110 and hot, then that air is still 20 degrees cooler than his blood inside his body. So panting brings the air back and forth across the tongue. The tongue will get really big and full because it's full of blood. So that brings that blood to where the cool air can get to it, and that again cools him from the inside out. So he's panting a little bit right now, but it's not much. It's nothing significant. His tongue is still healthy. When your dog's overheated, the tongue will get really, really big and wide. You'll be amazed at how big the tongue is. That's a sign the dog is really, really hot, and you want to cool them down by getting some cool water or anything on their skin between their legs. I think the last thing I want to say is, if you have an ice cube in the cooler, ice cubes work great, but ice packs, chemical ice packs, don't work as well. They'll stick to the skin. Ice cubes, especially in this humid Florida weather, they'll melt immediately, and you'll have a layer of cold water between the ice cube and the skin, so that you don't get any like freezer burn. People think of the old thing as kids that we sticking a tongue to the flagpole. That only happens in really, really dry weather where there's not a layer of water melting between the ice cube or between the tongue and the flagpole. So Zip's getting a little bit warm because we're out here, but his tongue is still a perfect pink color. It's not getting too big. He's fine. I think that's enough for now. Thanks for listening.